Hello there, my name is Richard from Silent Peak and a very warm welcome to this Luminar Neo trial where I will show you 5 steps to take an image that looks like this and make it look something like this. Now, just an important note that this particular tutorial leverages the latest edition of Luminar Neo as of April 2026. This means a new portrait bokeh AI tool and a few revisions to Face AI and Skin AI. Now, if you would like to try this very edition of Luminar Neo, you can, and in the description below you will find a link to your free Luminar Neo trial. And with that, let's get going. So here we are. Now, the first thing we're going to do is set the canvas, which is to say we're going to crop and correct distortion. So to correct distortion, we're going to go to the Develop tab. We're going to scroll down and just click Auto Distortion Corrections. Now, I feel like there's a little bit more distortion here. This table looks a little bit curved, and I'm just going to do a little bit of manual adjustments just until I get something that kind of looks right to me. Having corrected distortion, we are now going to scroll up to the very top and then click Crop. Now, there is a handy little tool here called Composition AI that tries to guess how your image would look best. You can click on it and try it. And in this case, I feel like I can do better myself. So I'm going to click these anchor points and then I'm going to sort of tighten around my subject. After all, the sort of background is inconsequential. This photo is all about our subject here. So once we're happy with our composition, we're going to click Apply. And there she is. So step 2 is correcting white balance. To do that, we're going to return to the Develop tab. We're going to scroll down to Color, White Balance, and the easiest way is if we can use this dropper option here. We click on that, and then we take our mouse and click on a neutral tone, such as the white in this sort of flower here. And that corrects our white balance. And if we go to this eye option at the bottom of the screen and hold our mouse over it, we can see how far we've come already. So this is our original shot, and this is where we are now. So with step 2 white balance concluded, it is time to move to step 3, which is exposure and contrast. Now, if we look at the image, it's pretty well exposed, but if we look at our histogram, we can kind of see that most of the detail is quite dark here. We have some slight clipping at the highlights, which is this window over here. Now, that is completely clipped. We can't make that any darker, but we can shift some of these darker pixels up in brightness and make the whole image brighter overall. So to do that, I'm going to sort of shift the exposure just a little bit. And if we look at our histogram, we can kind of see it sort of marching forward as I do. Too bright looks like this, so we're going to reel it in. We want to just make sure we limit the clipping here. And to that end, we're going to grab our highlights and dial them back a bit. As I say, that window's a lost cause. And then we're going to push the shadows up and make the darker parts of the picture brighter. So if we have a look, this is what it was before. And this is our image now. Now, creatively speaking, you might actually wish the background to be darker. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is a tutorial, so I'm trying to be as generic as possible. The next thing, having adjusted our brightness of our image, we could accuse it of being a flatter image overall. So this is where we're going to add contrast, and the easiest way to do that and the best way is with curves. So looking at the curve here, we're going to drop a point dead center, one center top, and one center bottom. This gives us independent control over shadows, midtones, and highlights. So we're going to go for a good old-fashioned S-curve. So I'm going to pull the shadows down a little bit. Not too much. We don't want to sort of crunch all the grays to black. We're going to lift the midtones a bit. In fact, maybe I'm not. And I'm going to boost the highlights a little bit. Now, there's no sort of fixed way to do an S-curve, aside from the fact that it's probably going to look a bit like an S. But its precise sort of visual appearance will just depend on your photo and what you're trying to achieve creatively. So that's looking good. Here is our out of camera image, and here is where we are now. So that concludes step 3, exposure and contrast. Next up is creative effects. So for that, we're going to scroll down to the bottom. We're going to go to portrait, and we're going to go to bokeh AI. Now, honestly, this particular image already has some nice blur, but this is a feature that you should definitely use for those portraits that don't. So to demonstrate, I'm going to dial up the blur to max, and you can kind of see the effect that has. It gives your photo a 3D pop, where you've got this clear distinction between your in-focus subject and the out-of-focus background. The background is of no consequence. It really just exists to give our subject a sort of place in space. So we can diminish it as much as we like. Now, in this case, we're getting a cardboard cutout effect. The blur is far too severe. If we grab this option here and push it up, we can see that we bring more of the scene into focus. And if we bring it back, we can see we do the opposite. So here, you just want to get that sort of middle balance, really. And that looks pretty good. On this photo, it's having an effect, but not a great effect. But nonetheless, it's an effect worth having. And if we click here, we can see the sort of before and then after. So next up is Face AI. For this, I recommend that you'd go up to 100% and get your subject's face dead center so we can see what we're doing. Now, one of the lovely features of Face AI is face light. And we can just brighten up our subject as if they were staring into sort of diffused lighting or a softbox. And that's going to look really good when you're viewing the image from here. So if we click there, how good's that, eh? We also have Slim Face. Now, it does exactly what you think it does and is particularly useful for correcting wide-angle distortion. In this case, we haven't really got any of that going on, so I'm going to leave it as is. We have iris visibility, iris flare, enlarge eyes, eye whitening. I'm just going to dial up the eye enhancer a little bit just to give my subject a little bit more presence through the eyes. Red eye removal, I didn't use a flash, no problem. This is a lovely feature. So if you are working with a mum who has kids and a husband who's always making YouTube videos, this is a brilliant feature to sort of straighten out and remove and add a few hours extra sleep onto your subject. Improved eyebrows. I'm not sure exactly what an improved eyebrow is, but if we pull this to the right, we can see it gives our eyebrows definition. And I do think that what you can do is sort of align them so you get sort of a similar density from the eyebrows to the hair for a more sort of uniform look. I think that works well, but it's probably a matter of taste. I also think in this case that the sort of lips are sort of disappearing a little bit. We want to bring them out. Nothing vulgar. We just want to make them sort of pop a little bit. We don't want to just see lips, but we do want them to be present. Teeth whitening, not appropriate. Not for this photo. So that is Face AI, and now on to Skin AI. We have face smoothing, so let's dial that to the max, and there we have the sort of Instagram style dehumanized effect. This is a controversial feature. However, when used sensibly, it's just a great way to sort of combat the effect of bad lighting. You see, bad lighting can make you look absolutely terrible, far worse than you do in real life. And features like this just correct that and can turn a bad photo of you into something that looks not just more flattering but more realistic. Body smoothing, does it do the neck? Let's have a look. Yes, it does. So we can do the neck a little bit and just sort of align that with the face. Shine removal, not too applicable in this image. We don't sort of have any glossy surfaces on the face. Cheeks, often caused by moisturizer and, again, strong light. And blemish removal, again, not too applicable. We can see here on the chin, we've got a little bit of rough area. If I dial that to the max, you can see that disappears. I want a little bit of detail there. I don't want it to look too airbrushed, so just, again, very subtle. And if we click on here, we can see before, which is fine in my book, and then after, just a little bit smoothed out. Now, the other thing that you might want to try with is glow. You can add just the tiniest amount of glow and it can have a very dramatic effect on your photo. We've got different options, so soft focus is looking a little bit strong. If we put in glow, we can see it's just adding a little bit of something, a little bit of secret sauce. And when we look at it from a photo wide, we can kind of see it's not doing much, but it is doing something. It's giving our photo that sort of extra 3D effect, that extra punch. Now, the next thing we're going to do, one of the last things we're going to do, we're nearly there. We're going to go to color harmony and we are going to add a little bit of sort of split color warmth, which I think is similar to split toning on other applications, in that what we're doing with the warm is that we're brightening up the highlights in the image. So what we can do here is that our subject's face is already pretty warm. We can make it warmer if we want. And we can also make it a little bit cooler. I mean, it's almost bang on, really. So I'm actually going to go just a little bit cooler. And again, we can add a tone, a tint to the darker parts of the image. So this is what it looks like when we warm up those darker tones and what it looks like when we cool them. Again, this is a sort of matter of taste, but for this photo, I think warming up the darker tones will just create a more attractive image. So again, don't want to go too far, but if we have a look at that, yeah, it's not night and day, is it? But it does have an effect. And there is our color harmony. So, color harmony. So let's remind ourselves of where we've been. This is the original image, and this is where we are now. And the final touch that you might want to add in terms of creative edits is just a good old-fashioned vignette. I really like vignettes because they create a sort of emphasize a sort of third dimension, make your subject pop. And the way I like to do it is I dial it up to the biggest amount, so we can go dark. Of course, we can go the other way as well. And then we adjust the size. And then we back off the amount until we get something that is looking the way that we want. I always say with the vignette, you don't really want to see a vignette. You just sort of want to see its impact. So this is what it's like when you see the vignette. And this is more like when you can see its impact. And if we sort of get rid of the vignette, it's subtle. But again, it just sort of diminishes the background, sort of pushes it away and makes our in-focus subject sort of leap out the photo a little bit more. And the final step is sharpening. So we go back to the Develop tab. You want to jump to 100% for this. And again, your focus should be the face. because that's going to be everyone's focus when they look at the image. And it's already pretty sharp, but we can make it a little bit sharper. You know, you'll know when it's too much, that's too much, so we're going to dial it back. And if you are doing this for just social media, for digital use, you kind of just want sort of realistic sharpening. But if you are printing, you can actually go a little bit overboard, and you'll be glad you did by the time it comes out on paper. So about there, I think. And that's that. So one of the things that you might want to do is, if you like this particular workflow, you can actually add these options to your favorites. So right click and add favorites. And now the develop will be at your front. Likewise, we can do the vignette. We can add that. We can add the bokeh AI, the face AI, and then structure them so they feature in the correct order of our workflow. So the next time you're doing your portrait, instead of sort of moving up and down here, you can just bounce down the settings. Also, you can save the sum of your edit, of course, as a preset. If we go to here, we can go to save as preset. We've got a little name here, you give it a name. Portrait tutorial. And you can even make it a favorite. And now you can apply these edits instantly to the next photo that you edit. So once again, here is our before, here is our after, before and after a nicely well edited portrait that is still honest to our subject and totally human. There we go. So I do hope you found this tutorial useful, and if indeed you would like to see any more tutorials, please leave a comment below and I will try to attend to that. If you are looking to buy or try Luminar Neo or indeed any other photo editing applications, do drop by the Silent Peak store. At the Silent Peak store you will find the latest prices on many different photo editing applications, along with buyer's guides, reviews, free trials and even some exclusive promo codes you can use to save a little extra cash. If you appreciate this video, please support the channel by liking, comment, subscribing, sharing and so on. You know the deal. That's just about it from me. My name is Richard from Silent Peak. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.